All right, it is episode 92 of the Zenspath 4-Button Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and once again, we've got 4 people. I have friends, and there's proof. If the video comes through this time, you'll see most of them. The one you won't see, Chris, kind of exists. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Oh,
Don't wave so hard.
Wow.
Yeah, I can hear it from here. Joining him visibly, though, on the one major difference, Steven.
In the flesh.
In the flesh, there you go. And returning once again, for those of you that actually remember, we did do this a while back, and she's been here way back in the day, which hasn't been that long. She's been moving. Rachel.
I'm in a new room now. You can see stuff behind me.
If the video goes through.
If the video goes through.
It's been weird lately.
If it doesn't go through, just know I have a lot of nerd crap behind me.
She does.
Instead of like a black background.
We all do, especially Chris.
Yeah, we just can't
That's
see
a
this.
lie, and you know it.
Listen, we can just sense it. We can feel it in our bones.
Right? It's all just in the animated picture you see of him if we get video. Or not animated, just cartoon picture. Anyways, let's just go ahead and jump straight into what we've been doing so we can get into our little bit of news. And then we also have our big question for this week to talk about. But we're going to go ahead and let Chris start us off this week. Chris, what you been up to, man?
Well, I've been replaying Pokemon Scarlet to get as much stuff as possible before the fall DLC update. I stink at Terra raids, but it was still fun trying. I also played a game called Arcade Paradise, which just showed on Game Pass. It's kind of a laundromat simulator, but the more you do, the more money you gain, and you actually can turn it into an arcade with playable games.
Oh.
Which is pretty neat.
Eventually the laundromat goes away, Chris.
Yeah, but it takes so long.
That's how it works. That's how business works.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. A laundromat with an arcade in it brings back a lot of memories.
Well, that's the thing. It's set in the 90s, and everything is, neon, and all the games look like your classic arcade. So it has a real nostalgic feel. But I know some people like Farmville and Work Sims and stuff like that, but I don't want to play a game where I have to go to work. I want to play the arcade games, damn it.
He told me the first time he got hooked on one of the arcade games, he forgot that he was also supposed to do the customer's laundry. So when he was done with the game, everything was closed.
Yes. So that's my problem. And the only other thing I'm doing lately is I'm still controller hunting. I'm trying to find the perfect controller to play Street Fighter 6 on my PC, and I haven't found it yet.
Still no luck with a Series X controller, huh? I still find that weird.
Yeah, the closest thing I can do is a DualShock for PlayStation 4. That seems to be the best one I've got right now, but we shall see. But that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, Steven, what you been up to?
I've been pretty busy with a little bit of both. I've had the Power Wash SpongeBob DLC. Played through that. Marred with some issues, especially playing with friends. If not you, it was Chris having a lot of connectivity issues or UI disappearing. So that was unfortunate, but it was still fun to go through the DLC itself. Doing the Merman layer was not fun. That's the last day.
So much stuff in there.
So much
stuff in the Merman layer.
Went through the Vampire Survivor update. It was really quick. They added a new stage.
Really?
You could turn one of the characters into a sort of pseudo supersonic. It was a joke because you got basically a Chaos Emerald, but they called it something else like a Chaos Imperiala or something like they just renamed it. It was weird. Played, of course, where is it here? The AEW Fight Forever, which is kind of like a love letter to the old N64 wrestling games. So it was nice to not have to memorize button combinations all the time. Like hold R1 and press circle and do this and play a mini game before you can grapple type stuff. So it was nice.
That's probably now the most interest in that game I've had because I'm just like, wrestling? No, I'm out. Oh, it's like the old N64 ones. Okay, those were fun.
This was one of those games where they took somebody who was a big fan of it, Kenny Omega, already, his finishing move is One-Winged Angel, so put that together. And his other finishing move is the V-Trigger. So it's like, all right. So when he's like, I'm putting all my input into this, it shows. It's got stuff in there that's not in other wrestling games, which is nice. Other than that, on the media side of things, I've been hooked on 2 programs. First, I'm trying to work my way through the documentary called Muscles and Mayhem, the unauthorized story of the American Gladiators. It is really interesting. Episode 1, when you see the first the batch of games they came up with and how many people got injured because they didn't think it through. They didn't know if stuff on paper would hurt in real life.
Yeah, that show did not turn out like they originally intended.
So, that was very interesting. I'm up to episode 3, so I get to see how things go and how some of them get their heads too big type stuff. And then lastly, what just started this week was My Adventures with Superman. It's on Adult Swim, but then it's on Max a day or so after. And it's kind of, the easiest way to say is it's kind of like if the Paul Dini-esque era of like Batman and Superman, and then the not Teen Titans Go, but regular Teen Titans kind of meshed and sprinkled a little bit more anime in there, you're getting My Adventures with Superman.
I also heard that he basically has a magical girl transformation, and I'm gonna have to see it for myself. Of course,
episode 2, he definitely has one, so it comes in episode 2.
If I remember correctly, Jack Quaid is the voice of Superman this time,
yes.
Right? Yeah, because he's also Boimler from Lower Decks, as well as from The Boys.
Yeah, and even funnier, like they took a comedian such as Chris Parnell, and he's Slade Wilson. So a lot of things you got to realize when you're watching the show is you think you know, but you probably don't know who these people are. But if you pause when they do the cast and the credits, then you find out, wait, that guy was Slade Wilson? Wait, that guy was Chris Parnell? The Chronicles of Narnia? What?
Oh, Lord. I know I've seen it. The first episode, or at least first maybe 2 parts of it, are on YouTube as well. So you can watch those right now if you don't have the other services.
They put, I think, episode 1 on there for sure in its entirety.
Which I always thought was smart when they do that.
It's very interesting. I can definitely say, whether people like it or not, it does borrow elements from Sailor Moon in the fact that when he powers up to turn into Superman and the suit just appears on him, his jawline seems to change a little bit so people can't recognize him. So it's not like the stupid glasses thing. And he can't understand Kryptonian because he hasn't ever heard it all his life. So he can't understand something he's never heard.
Interesting.
So a lot of
none of the crystal in this ship.
He doesn't have his Superman ability unless he like really, really needs it, and he's like trying to push himself because his eyes glow blue, and suddenly he's got all of Superman's powers. So in the beginning, he can get black eyes, he can get cuts, he can get electrocuted, and all this other stuff, and it doesn't kill him; it hurts.
I'm really confused right now.
Like, really intent on something, his black eye disappears, his whole body heals, and he's Superman.
That is
what? It sounds like early seasons of Smallville.
Such a unique take on it. I'm like, I'm for this. I'm gonna go for it.
That is
very clever.
That is kind of clever, though. That makes sense, and it kind of turns normal portrayals, at least recent portrayals, kind of on its head a little bit. But yeah, it kind of harkens back to Smallville, which I kind of like.
I'm gonna have to give it a watch, Smallville. And I am gonna have to critique the hell out of it.
Yeah,
I'll be nice about it, but I want to know. Because I grew up reading and watching and seeing so much Superman stuff. I'm very curious how this take can be. And there's been really good alternative takes on Superman, and there have been really bad ones over the years.
Nothing. No offense if you're that. If your fandom goes that far back, but it's not as bad. It's not as bad as the really old Action Comics where they came up with a new superpower for Superman every time. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to give you a kiss, and you'll forget everything." What?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying I'm not saying like that's the golden. Well, okay, it was technically the golden era, but just by how they actually categorized it, not by how I feel. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. That sounds weird. All right. Well, Rachel, what have you been up to?
Oh man, I've been up to a lot, but also not a lot. I'm not. Well, I'm not. So I'm not really watching any new TV shows because all of the stuff that I was watching got canceled. So I'm not gonna talk about that on here because I'll be sad. But I'm rewatching some of my favorite shows, and I will get started watching some other stuff for the first time, once I work a little bit more through these things that I'm rewatching, I've introduced my mother to Supernatural, so it's been really fun actually watching her reactions to stuff. But I'm in the new house now, so I've got this room behind me set up for streaming now, which is awesome, and I've been streaming a few times a week. I've been playing, well, not as much since Final Fantasy 16 came out, but I was playing Tears of the Kingdom and enjoying that. Enjoying the whole hell of a lot of Final Fantasy 16. There's so much to unpack with that game. A friend of mine was like, "How is it? What do you think of it?" And I'm like, "Man, it seems like every 5 minutes something happens where my jaw is on the floor again. So I have not been able to pick my jaw up off the floor for several weeks. I'm in pain." But it's like, whether it be yeah, and of course there's just it's just a lot going on with that game, a lot to see, a lot to do, and I'm taking my time with it. So I'm streaming it too, so it's like I only play for a couple of hours a day, and then there's other people out there, of course, who have
question for you: are you taking advantage of the active time lore?
Yes and no. I do spend a lot of time in well, I just call them the stacks, when I'm back in the like home base, and I go to that library area and I read through a lot of the stuff in there. But during like cutscenes or anything like that, sometimes I'll bring up the active time lore, but I'm honestly so busy trying to absorb everything that I'm seeing in the cutscene that I forget to do it.
Because when I played through the demo, I even somebody who bought the deluxe version and everything, I just gave him a warning. I was just like, "Hey, if you want certain things to just come out of the blue for you, don't use that the first time you play, because it does spoil things."
Yeah. Well, some of the the game is saucy. Like, it is saucy, it is sassy, it is the Game of Thrones of Final Fantasy. And I don't use that.
They're saying bad words.
Yeah, I don't like it's not even like that. Like, but I was initially like that wasn't the biggest thing that shocked me. It was more so the like I'm just gonna say this. These characters are not afraid to say who they are willing to sleep with and tell you to your face. And I'm just like, and I have never encountered this much honesty, sexual themes, and blood and gore in any Final Fantasy that I have ever.
But I was still surprised, and I'm not going to try to spoil anything, but I was really wondering, were they going to show what's in the box? I was shocked they didn't.
I was also shocked.
I was just like, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen?
Like, I knew who it was in the box. I knew what was in the box, but I was just like, "Oh my god, are we going to see that? Are they going to just
It's Gwyneth Paltrow."
But yeah, there's my commentary on it has been A+, 10 out of 10. None of which is appropriate to say on a recorded podcast, so I will save that for y'all once we hit the no.
Wow.
On the no, it's just, there. I mean, listen, it's a perfect game for commentary because it's all shock factor. But yeah, I've been playing a lot for that. I also saw Indiana Jones, the new one.
Oh, what'd you think?
Yeah. It was fun. I'm
not going to be hurt if you didn't like it. It's okay.
Okay. Spoiler free zone. Okay.
I'm not going to spoil it. That's what given.
I will say I didn't. The ending didn't gel with me. Like,
we'll have to talk later.
We'll talk later, but it didn't, for whatever reason. I was like, oh, I mean, I get it. Cool, great, wonderful. But I wish something else had happened, but we'll talk later, of course. It was good though. I felt it was a better send off for the character than Crystal Skull, even though Crystal Skull, the wedding scene at the end, was a really good scene out of the entire thing. It was probably the best scene in the entire film because
Everybody
it
loves
was
nuking the fridge.
yeah. Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
I thought that was hilarious.
It was, but yeah. So I think it was a good send off. And of course, my favorite parts were the flashback parts because I was just amazed by what they were able to do with that.
I thought they did such a good job with the de-aging. Holy
it was
crap.
so good. It was so good. But I do recommend going and seeing the film because it's probably the last that we're going to see of that character.
You know the story of why that's gotten better, right?
The guy who did the deep fakes is now on their payroll.
Yeah, because when that Mandalorian episode come out, the big one for anybody who's not watched it, when somebody from old Star Wars canon showed up, everybody was like, "That's good, but it's kind of unrealistic.
Could be better."
And one guy's, "Look how I do it," and Lucasfilm was just like, "You're right, you're hired."
And he's like, "What? I didn't even put in a job application."
You technically did.
Yeah,
just put it on YouTube.
You just didn't know it,
right?
But of course, and then of course, I'm generally excited over Beetlejuice 2, which, yeah. I'm not going to, of course, say anything too much about that, but it's exciting for me because it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite franchises.
You have entanglements that prevent it, but we can vouch for your level of excitement for this. Anyone that knows you knows this is the thing.
The only thing that I will say about it that I is that with every leak and every set photo and every announcement and stuff that comes out, I want to read it, but at the same time I'm like, no, don't tell me anything. I want to go in completely blind and be surprised.
I have one fear for it, and I do not mean to put this worry in your brain, and I am so sorry if I do. I am very worried because this would not be the first movie they've done to Keaton if Warner Brothers just decides, well, we're just going to pull the plug for whatever reason.
Tax write-off.
And yeah, that's my only fear with any movie. That's any movie they make now.
They will. You want to know what they won't?
They already did it to him once.
Well, no. You want to know why they won't do that? Because he will put his own money into it to get it to go.
That's a good argument. That's a really good. Okay, I like that.
He'll do it. Probably Winona would put money down, and probably Tim would also put money down too. So
yeah, make it an independent film.
I'm just saying that's it. That's my 2 cents. But I will say it is the most delightful thing to hear him say the things that he has said so far about the experience of being back. I am so happy for him and delighted by his excitement. So
kind of reminds me of every confirmation and leak that's coming out for Deadpool 3 is giving my hype meter another notch up.
Yeah.
We've finally seen new shots of him in the suit filming. So I was like, yes.
Yes. But the news they gave away yesterday, I was like, oh, this keeps getting better.
Oh, there's so much good stuff happening. Really, really, really good stuff. And
we're gonna have to tell they're putting a lot of Disney's putting a lot of money into Deadpool 3, and I'm here for it.
With all these good things happening with a bunch of films that I'm excited for, it makes me feel, especially in the wake of some cancellations that I don't agree with. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be okay. I don't know if I'll ever see other things again, but these are back, so this is good.
We're going to get to the point some of these weeks. We're going to have to just make a section just about movie rumors and things going on.
Yeah, and then there's going to be times where I'm like, I can't say anything.
Don't take it the wrong way, but these will be the Rachel free episodes. Not because we don't want her here, but now we don't want that. We don't want that legal entanglement.
You want to talk Disney stuff? I can talk Disney stuff.
We can talk Disney. We'll have you here for Star Wars and Marvel and stuff.
Marvel, sure. Marvel,
well, it's sure. Disney. Yeah.
Star Wars. I'm not super excited about Star Wars all the time. I love Star Wars, but my level of excitement is not like here. It's like mid.
There's that cancels number.
Listen,
not everybody likes everything, and I'm fine with that.
I mean, I like it, but it's not one of my fandoms, if that makes sense.
Well, just one quick anecdote for that. Remy.
Oh yeah,
who's done this before?
I love.
I got Remy to watch A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And then he quit watching them, and I have not yet get him to watch Return of the Jedi. And it's like, I think he's trying to make it where he just has not finished it. I keep trying to get
up inside. You're like,
I'm gonna lock you in the game room and make you watch Return of the Jedi just to be like, you've seen the trilogy. All right?
It's like, you've seen it. You've watched all the movies. You have to like it.
Yeah, you've seen these 3. Come on.
To quote Parks and Rec. So,
love what I love. All right, so I too have seen Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I really liked it. Like I said, once again, I'm not going to go into any spoilers for anything, but I do like that the opening ties into a part of Indy's history that was not previously talked about, not just that particular adventure he was on, but an actual part of history covering World War II, because we only ever heard of any of him being active during that time period in Crystal Skull. But now we actually get to see a little bit of it, which is nice. Actually, during, because all the other movies take place before World War II.
yes.
Fill in the blanks like Fast 10.
Not like that, but at least, has something. I still haven't seen Fast 10. I haven't seen the last couple Fast movies.
I'm waiting because that's supposed to be like a 2-parter.
Oh God, everything's a 2-parter now. I'm surprised Indiana Jones wasn't a 2-parter. Probably afraid Harrison wouldn't be alive for both parts. Poor guy. Well, think about it. Like, Indy's in his 70s in this movie. Harrison Ford is in his 80s, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you read that one thing he said when somebody asked him again who would win in a fight, Han Solo or Indiana Jones? And he's like, you know who would win? It's me, a-hole.
I win no matter what because I get paid for both.
He's just like, who would ask that a question? Why don't you ask the people who know more about the characters than I do?
Yeah. No, it was the other issues that I had with the movie. I will not say because it has like spoilers. So
okay,
yeah.
Well, I liked the, I'm the guy that I enjoyed Crystal Skull. I'm not saying it's the best Indiana Jones movie. That will forever and ever be The Last Crusade. Fight me on that one. I dare you. But it's still a fun Indiana Jones movie. I enjoyed it for what it was, touching on the 1950s with the whole space race and science fiction. And that was kind of the tone of that time. Like the previous films touched on their, shorts and serials from their time periods. This one taking place in the 60s during the moon landing and all that stuff kind of ties in more with that era's mystery, which I kind of enjoyed and how I played around with it. Now, I liked the ending. It kind of left things open and how it went. I thought it was, kind of a sad story of how they ended up dealing with some of the other stuff, but I'm not going to get into that. But what really bothered me is the fact that I realized that takes place in 1969. I never thought I would watch so many Indiana Jones movies that it would go from pre-World War II to about 10 years and 6 months before my birth. It should not be that close to me being a thing.
Is it wrong that every time I hear the date 1969, my brain automatically plays the song from the show Even Stevens? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
We went to the moon in 1969, 1968, but the year after.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
I only watched a little bit of that. I never really seen much of it.
Well,
but like if they make another Indiana Jones movie, like say they end up making one more somehow.
I don't think
that is getting dangerously close to my time. Like right now, this is an Indiana Jones period where my mother was alive. So, she was like about 7, I think, at this time. So it's kind of scary. Chris and Steven, you know what I'm talking about.
Movie and be like, hey, there I am.
That's me in the background in the stroller.
They go to Virginia. No, don't. Stay away from that state. Stay away from Virginia Beach. But I did really like it. Like I do want to talk to you, Rachel, more about it later of kind of your ups and downs for it as well. But
for sure.
In general, I did like it. I recommended people go and see it. There was a lot of reviews that were really talking crap about it. And I was like, just go and enjoy it. Watch it for what it is. And every Indiana Jones movie has some weird level of disbelief of things going on. So don't try and be like, it's not realistic. Whoa, was the Ark of the Covenant realistic, or
they're not
people's
supposed to
faces
be
melting?
They're not supposed to be realistic. They're supposed to be fun adventure films. Like,
I heard the argument though, like it's just not realistic how it went, and I was just like, "What series are you watching? It's not a documentary."
It's like okay, was Jewel of the Nile realistic? No,
No, it's just good.
it was just good.
I'm
that
all
wasn't
for
Indiana
like
Jones,
a
but...
second opinion, difference in opinion. But then when somebody obviously like went in it with a chip on their shoulder or something like even the Super Mario movie, sometimes people were just like, I wanted it to be a richer universe. And Miyamoto's like, I want it to be just told as quick as possible. And then you'd read reviews saying like, this is not how things are supposed to work. It's like, did your daughter enjoy it, or did you go by yourself and just be like, my popcorn was cold, so I was having a bad day?
I think a lot of people need to follow I usually have the rule that if I'm going to review something for like a movie or show, I watch it once without taking notes or anything. I just enjoy it as it is before I go back and try and rewatch and break it down, if I need to. But just people need to just be able to enjoy things. Like, come on.
Just watch it the first time with your brain off.
Yeah, just go have fun. I took my kids and, me and Amanda took Jeremy and Jen to go see it because John's still out of town doing his drum corps stuff. And they all loved it. Jennifer came out excited, wanting to watch Indiana Jones movies. So I'm going to try and get her to start watching those this weekend too. So I'm down for that.
And you know what? If you want to get real into the Indiana Jones everything, see if you can get her to watch Young Indiana Jones.
I'm still trying to find the DVDs of that.
Good luck.
But yes. Yeah. No kidding. All right. So the next thing I've played around, did any of you guys mess with the Pikmin 4 demo?
No.
Oh, you should. It's good. I am not concerned about how Pikmin's going to be. I am so excited.
By the time I try the demo, the game's out.
I have only played the first Pikmin.
Okay. Pikmin 2, I think, was a lot better. Like 1, I really enjoyed, but it was stressful because of the time limit. 2 got rid of most of that and kind of gave you a little bit more freedom in what you're doing. So I recommend that. 3 really kind of upped its game for how it played. The Switch version's been good. I preferred it on Wii U, but the Switch one's been kind of a good way to port it. And that's still the highest selling Pikmin of all time right now. Is Pikmin 3 by like a magnitude of all others combined. Pikmin 4 I could actually see being even better because the mechanics of just moving your Pikmin around and this new dog character that you have works so much better. Like I'm just greatly enjoying it. Motion control is still in there, but in a very nice way. Like when you're holding the button to throw a Pikmin, you can actually just start moving the Joy-Cons or moving your system or Pro Controller in my case to subtly get that bit of motion aiming to pick what you want to hit and throw it at. They've enhanced how you can rush different groups at people and how the mechanics of different Pikmin work. They've put some more restrictions on how many you can get out at a time. And that's something you can kind of level up. So you don't feel like you're swarmed with 100 Pikmin all at one time. You kind of build yourself up. So I think for newcomers or people adjusting to it, like Rachel, for you yourself, kind of getting into it, I think that's a good step to kind of bring it into the new mechanics of it. So I'm excited for it. And if you do play the demo, whether you get physical or digital, your game carries over. So you're basically starting the game early, which is great.
I did read reports that the sound of Ochi, and I'm using air quotes, dying is worse than Baby Mario.
It's not worse, but I was wondering okay, how do I heal this damn dog? And that beeping noise is like a Zelda 1 level annoying. I just had I'm like, just what's going on? If you go down a hole, it heals automatically. And I was like, I just want to throw the dog down a hole. Not because I hate the dog, but I hate the sound.
Hear that, Christian? Just throw the dog down a hole.
That solves everything.
Next up from that, I did play Power Wash Simulator with you guys, as we talked about earlier. I ended up finishing the SpongeBob DLC by myself because we found out if you haven't played the levels yet, you can only do 2-player co-op. The 6-player or whatever free play is only on levels you've already beat. So that kind of limited what we could do at the time for our original intention, but it did work until Chris's game apparently broke.
Yeah, for me at least, the DLC broke the game. And it wasn't even the free DLC like Tomb Raider.
Or Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, it was the SpongeBob DLC. Suddenly, I could not play the game at all. So I'm still looking for a workaround for that in forums.
I just thought about it. I should stream cleaning. What was it, like the bar from Final Fantasy VII? Rachel, I'll get you on there, and you can just point out as I clean things and like references. I'm sure you could be like, "Oh, I know what that is. Oh, this is what this is."
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
it'd be totally hilarious.
Yeah,
probably like the banter from the characters too.
Yeah, because they did a lot of banter, and they're like, "Remember when this happened?"
Right.
And I'm like, "No, I try to forget that."
It's all in weird text messages. No one says anything. It's kind of funny. And lastly, what I've been playing is Final Fantasy 16, which anyone that knows me knows as far as RPGs go, it's really difficult for me to continue on with an RPG. And I think the best thing I can say about Final Fantasy 16 is it doesn't feel like an RPG.
No, it doesn't.
And I don't mean that bad.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, you level up and you have other moves, but this feels basically like Final May Cry or, Devil Fantasy, basically, because it's very much an action RPG is how I would categorize it. Kind of like Secret of Mana and stuff like that, where you are in direct control of your character doing things as you level up. And I really seem to enjoy those more. And as I mentioned before, Junior bought me this as a Father's Day gift. He got me the deluxe edition, as I was showing off the box earlier, if the video actually works this time. But I'm really enjoying it. Like, I actually think I'm going to go through and finish this. And the story has really, really sucked emotionally. I'm like, oh, I like this character. What's going on? No.
Yeah. The twists and turns are just, like I said, your jaw's on the floor. It won't come back up. It's going to be stuck there for a while.
Well, Jeremy came in and he knew where I was, and I'm talking. I'm like, yeah, I really like how they portrayed this character. Like, it's going to be great. They made a reference to this earlier, and it'll be great seeing him get a hold of that later. And Jeremy made this like sound, and I didn't quite hear it. I didn't quite get what he meant, and he knew. I was just like,
scenario writer George R. Martin,
right? So, yeah, I think I'll have some more to put into this one, but I think I'm actually going to end up finishing this. Now, I am playing it on, as we said before, on graphics mode, because I don't care about the frame rate. I want it to look nice, and it's been running just fine for me. I haven't noticed any fluctuations if they're there, nor do I care. And I'm playing it on story mode, which I know is technically supposed to be a little bit easier, but I just want to enjoy the story and have fun with it, and I'm liking it and playing it. So if you have a problem with that, what's wrong with you?
I'm playing it on the same exact mode, and guess what? It still has difficult bits. So,
oh yeah, no, but it's fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
Really good fights. I will say I've seen still nothing in this game that qualifies what's his name from Square going like, no other piece of hardware could run this. Yeah, it could.
Well, I have a question for you guys, but I don't know if you guys did this. It's in the demo, so it's not spoilers for anybody. But when you fight, and I'm going to say its correct name, the Marlboro, not the Marl, whatever they call it. When you fight it, can you fail those QuickTime events?
I didn't fail them because they were very easy to do.
Because in the demo, and Chris was beside me watching, in the demo when it was coming down to eat me, I was like, cool, I wonder what this will look like. So I just put my controller down, and the QuickTime event just spun. It said, I will never run out on you. And I was like, okay, the other things I understood would hurt me because he would lash out at you and you'd either counter or dodge. But this one looked like okay, if I don't dodge, I'm going to get swallowed. So let me see what happens if I don't dodge. And the game's just like, no, we're going to let you dodge. And I was like, I wonder if they changed that for the full game.
They did that with Marvel's Avengers, too.
I don't know.
They gave QuickTime events that you could not lose. And for me, that's no fun.
And it's slow time event. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's half the fun is like what happens. It's like what that one really bad Spider-Man game. Like if you messed up the QuickTime events, he would die in the most hilarious ways. And you're just like, that's almost a reward upon itself, guys. Give us that.
Face plant, the lady would be like, oh no. And then the whole building explodes. Everybody dies.
It's like it's basically like Dragon's Lair. Sure, you lost 4 quarters in one move, but it was really funny watching Dirk the Daring get cut in half by a bunch of goons.
So yeah, I was just wondering if that was just like, no, we want you to play through the demo, so we're not going to let you die like that. So I'm just curious.
I don't know. I may have to ask Jeremy if he's got another account he can start a game on there and like just go to this and try and die.
Get to that part, because obviously it's just like a semi-prologue. But just get to that part and then see if you get eaten.
Huh. Kind of curious now. Me and Rachel both are just like, wait a minute. We hadn't thought about that.
Wait, Jeremy, what part are you at?
After the second major time jump.
You care about other people not.
I don't want that violence on me by spoiling that game. I'm sure everybody on Earth is further than me, which is fine. I don't care. But I'm having fun enjoying it. Basically, we'll call it after the name swap.
Oh, okay.
Haha, she got that one. All right, so we'll finish. We'll go ahead and stop before I end up spoiling Final Fantasy 16 for somebody.
Yeah,
and we'll move on to the news. So first thing we're going to talk about, if you have not listened to it yet, we have an extra quarter that we put out last week because we've been trying to do the show almost weekly now. We've been pretty good about it between Chris, Steven, and I. But extra quarter 25, we talked all about the FTC versus Microsoft court case. It's like 2.5 hours. We dig into all of the testimony, the absolute insane things that were happening, the weird argument of Nintendo not being a console or competition, which made no sense.
It is a great listen. It makes other courtroom dramas seem like traffic court.
It was pretty funny. But then we did go in on, talking about that testimony and our theories on how we think it'll go. We still don't have an actual ruling yet. Next week, hopefully we're thinking we may get one, but this last week, because of July 4th and everything, they kind of just, the judge is taking her time looking over this case with all the testimony, and we'll see how that plays out, but go back and give it a listen. So we had fun. All right. So another social media app has entered the ring. Steven apparently is not really approving of that, apparently. So Meta, which I'm just forever going to keep calling Facebook or whatever, has launched Threads, which is a Twitter alternative that is connected with Instagram. So much so that if you delete Threads, you delete your Instagram. So be warned.
Yes, but you can deactivate it and put it in like a hidden mode where you can't find it or it just not there. It's like you could take a break. So there's a kind of a way around that. But
I think they said they're going to try and separate them out eventually.
Yes,
but
yes,
I mean,
you are right. They are working on a way to separate them after launch. We'll see. Mm-hmm. But right now it was easier to connect them and it was actually really awesome. They're just like, hey, do you want to use your same username? And then you're like, yeah. And then it sends out like, once all of your followers come over or all the people you're following comes over, it auto follows all the people you're already following on Instagram. So you don't have to go around and find people. Like I just got a notification right now on my phone saying, hey, you're now following this person who recently joined Threads. It's great.
I never follow that many people on Instagram. That's why it never happens for me. I'm just like, well, crap.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Instagram was just toy photography for me.
Mm-hmm. But I'm actually liking the app so far. I've spent a lot of time on it.
Well, you know who's not liking it?
What?
Elon Musk.
Oh, of course he's not. Of course he's not.
He has filed a lawsuit or threatened to file a lawsuit against Meta.
Poor baby.
For using ex-Twitter employees.
Industry secrets.
Right, using industry secrets and so forth for making this. So he wants it either shut down or handed over. And here's the kicker.
He's just scared.
Well, he's saying that all of these people that used to work for Twitter that are now over at Meta making this, that they weren't supposed to do it because it's of a non-compete. The problem is the way he fired everybody, where he just shut everyone's access down, he never gave anyone a chance to even do their exit interviews or sign a non-compete. So they're free to do what they want.
They are. Yeah. He has no legal recourse on this. Like, and it's really, really funny. Like, let me kind of give you a little bit of a lowdown on the app.
Yes.
There's no ads as of yet. Yes,
they will be there.
They will be there. There's no ads as of yet. Companies, of course, are posting their own like things of like, oh, check out this and that kind of thing.
Which has been weird.
Yeah. There is no hashtags or anything like that. Discoverability is just
non-existent.
Well, yes, but it's more so it's like the algorithm is still in its infancy, so it's still, kind of figuring out what you as a user's interests are. Right. As well as like what other people's interests are. The timeline, or not that I'm not even going to call it the timeline. It's all sewing based. So the main page, it's called the Loom. Thank you, Misha Collins, for coining that. I think it's hysterical. But there's no hat.
Your recommended entry to a term that you put in there, which I thought was funny because you do more sewing than I do.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of people out there that's recommending terms of, of when you post something, it's this, or when you like something, it's this, or all kinds of different things. But I was like, have we discussed what to call it when people are banned? And can it be take a seam ripper to them? Because that seems very satisfying.
They're threadbare.
Threadbare, exactly. But it's kind of it's delightfully unhinged and wholesome. Well, it's even more so because it's a new social media app. So people are kind of being more themselves. They're not crafting a persona so much. There's a lot of honesty and just tongue-in-cheek commentary going on. It feels like early days
of AOL.
Of Twitter, actually. It feels like early days of Twitter.
Yeah.
And which is like, wild. But it's literally just, the Zuck saw that the Twitter ship was on fire and sinking and went, hold my beer, and hit the button. And yeah. So it's just a good time. Like, it's wild. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Like, now I will say you do have to adhere to the same guidelines in terms of posting, language, all that kind of stuff. Not so much language, but there is an interesting feature that I will mention. But pictures, you have to follow the picture guidelines for Instagram, which means unlike Twitter, you can't post certain types of images that have a lot of skin. All skin specifically.
I don't know how well they hold to that, because I've seen a couple of cosplayers that have pretty much gotten so close to that line. Yeah. There's basically just a thread. And I was like, why is this showing up? Okay.
Right. Well, like I said, the algorithm's still in its infancy, so it's not detecting it. I saw something.
I saw some shit.
Like, it was very obvious what it was, and I just went, nope, and then just kept scrolling past it. And of course it never came across again. So I'm of the mind that it got reported and deleted. But the most interesting feature that comes like standard, when you of course load up the app and link everything and all that kind of stuff, unless you turn it off, it has a hide certain words feature, which you can set which things to hide yourself. Or you can have it auto detect. So if you try to type, anything like
bad,
any curse word at all, it will have the first letter and the last letter, but then everything else is asterisks. So very interesting. Exactly. So no, I turned that feature off, because what if I want to say something interesting and filled with curse words? So,
or Final Fantasy 16 quotes.
Exactly. But
it's in quotes.
It's very active right now. It kind of reminds me of the early I don't know if you guys remember the social media like app called Vero Social, where everyone was on it. Oh yeah, it was kind of big with cosplay people for a while. That lasted about 2 weeks, and then everybody stopped because there was literally too much stuff on it. You could post music, you could post what books you were reading, and you could categorize it as such. There was too many options. But
Are you really hoping this happens?
No, I'm not.
No, I see Steven going, come on.
No. Threads, though, is delightful because it's simple. It's just text. Like, there's no hashtags or anything yet. There's just text. And it's really, really fun. I'm enjoying it. And some people might think it's stupid, but it's fun. Like, the world needed a little more laughter right now, and I think Threads has achieved that. And if it does nothing else but that, I would say it's still a success because it made the big man baby mad, and yeah, and it made me laugh. So I think it's a success.
Well, that was our social media expert, Rachel, or social media correspondent. A couple of nice things about it, like the text limit is like 500 characters, so you can definitely write a lot more stuff. It supports full 4K video, which is really neat, and you can do multiple videos per thing.
You can do 5-minute videos in a
post. I posted the videos, like really nice ones I took snorkeling with turtles, and no one liked them, and I was like, you guys are animals. You're monsters.
They didn't come across my timeline. Otherwise, I would have liked them. It just didn't.
Like snorkeling with them, like they're in my face. It was great. But yeah, now we've got like Hive, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and now Threads are the main contenders for the burning throne that is Twitter. Hive works, but there's no way to use it on a computer, which is a big
like Threads.
Threads you can at least read on a computer but you can't use it. So that's an issue I hope they fix.
Hive
Blue
is
Sky.
Just
go ahead.
Weird. Hive is just weird. I just don't like the interface on Hive.
It's
Blue Sky is waitlisted and invite only at this point. So
which I've been handing out to people. Do you want to invite?
I guess
I've been in. I got Steven on that one.
I maybe. Why not? I'll give it a try.
If I get when I get my next invite, I'll send it to you.
Beautiful.
Mastodon still makes no damn sense to me.
You have to be a programmer to understand that website.
Yeah, I'm in Mastodon and I'm like, I don't see how I can connect or talk to people or how this actually works.
Like you can either have .mastodon or .mstdn, but those can't communicate with each other. And I was like, never mind.
Yeah, it's too confusing for something. So this is going to be like the early, wars of a lot of the social media stuff. Like, after MySpace fell, for those of us old enough to remember, and we had all the different ones popping up around it, and that before as Facebook and Twitter started to rise up from there, we're kind of going through that all over again. So we'll see. But Chris, you got any thoughts on this? I know how much you love social media.
I'm just going to wait until things die down, and I'll pick whichever one rises from the ashes. I am in no hurry.
Not trying to call out or not, but I'm actually kind of curious. The artwork and stuff you do you ever use Instagram for something like that where you're posting art, or is that just
not really?
Not saying you have to give your name, but
I never really understood Instagram, so I just stayed away.
Gotcha. Like I said, I mostly use it for toy and my toy photography and my collection photography, just as a way of sharing that visually. It just seemed a little better than I would get from Twitter and stuff. And that's the only thing I ever used it for.
A lot of friends who use Twitter, they don't like the fact that there's no archive. So essentially, if you post enough, all the stuff that you posted earlier will just disappear and there's no way to search for it.
Yeah, actually, people are finding out today that their tweets older than December of last year are gone.
That's interesting, because I was able to look up stuff from years ago, very recently.
People don't know if there's just data chunks that have gone missing now.
Could that have anything to do with the fact that Twitter didn't pay Google a massive bill for their storage stuff?
Maybe.
Who knows? Maybe. So, all right, moving on to our next bit here. We got some Nintendo news that popped up. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 5 is coming July 12th. So we're going to get these new maps next week.
I'm so excited.
We need to play.
We do, and I was hoping we could actually play this weekend. I'm trying to get some people together.
Listen, I will play.
That'd be a fun stream.
Let me know.
I will so play, and I will kick butt.
I will kill you all. So we're getting Koopa Cape from Mario Kart Wii, Los Angeles Laps from Mario Kart Tour, Moonview Highway from Mario Kart Wii, Squeaky Clean Sprint, which is a brand new one. And this one kind of excites me because I love games that have you being tiny running around different places. That's why I like Pikmin. I always loved a lot of like Chibi Robo, stuff like that. I always thought it would be great to run around an environment, which is why some of my favorite old school Team Fortress 2 and Quake 3 arena maps were the ones done in like people's houses where you're
you
like
have the
toys.
Micro Machines game for NES?
Yes. And the N64 one and some of the other ones. Athens Dash from Mario Kart Tour, Daisy Cruiser from Mario Kart Double Dash. That was one of my favorite tracks back in the day because it was just so well made running through that ship. Sunset Wilds from Mario Kart Super Circuit, and Vancouver Velocity from Mario Kart Tour. We're also adding in Birdo, PD Piranha, Wiggler, and Kamek as racers. So we get some more of those as well. And then Wave 6 will be the last one, which still mentions it'll be released by the end of this year.
Before it gets renamed to Mario Kart Ultimate.
Dude, I would buy it. If they actually released a copy that had all the DLC, I would, without a question, buy it.
That would be the biggest change I've ever seen in Nintendo to release a complete edition.
So I'm excited about Birdo because Birdo's cool.
Birdo was cool.
And I remember playing as Birdo in Double Dash. I'm excited for Daisy Cruiser because that course was my jam.
It was so much fun.
It was fun. And
taking the different
Piranha.
levels, going through the dining area as the tables are sliding around.
Yep.
Apparently they have people sitting at the tables now sliding back and forth.
Oh, I love that. I love that because the GameCube didn't have enough oomph to have people at the tables. So
right.
But the Switch does.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to those. We'll be able to dive into those next week a little bit more. So speaking of the Nintendo Switch, I'm actually kind of hoping Mario Kart 8, there was precedent to that, Stephen, before I could jump into it, because we had Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, all the DLC was done. We got Ultimate on the Switch with everything included. So maybe the next Switch system could have a version of 8 again with all the stuff.
I wouldn't put it past them to release a a Smash, what would you call it, Omega.
I wish they would have released Smash
with a performance patch and a graphical resolution upgrade, and then the same thing with Mario Kart. I could definitely see Nintendo pulling that to help fill the library for when their new system comes out.
Yeah, well, they definitely don't need to worry about it sales-wise because Nikkei reports that the Switch has sold 380,000 units alone in June. So this is 68% higher than last year's sales.
Zelda.
Yeah, I'm sure Zelda did not hurt.
Got a link in my throat, sorry.
So this is officially the best June the Switch has ever had, and we are like 7 years into its lifetime. So this is now the longest running Nintendo system ever made. It has outlasted every other system. It's now almost the highest selling. And it's now getting close to being one of the highest selling of all time, console-wise, period.
You know they want that. They want that.
I know they want it
right there.
so bad. I'm curious if they're going to try and push for that, or if the next system is going to count as a Switch to try and continue those numbers. Kind of like the Game Boy Color, the way they treated that. Even though I still say the Game Boy Color is a different system.
Yeah, we already got the Switch XL,
I'm going to argue that.
Switch OLED, so they have to make another system now.
Right. So, I mean, the Switch itself is not hurting for it. And that's why I find it funny with the whole FTC argument that Nintendo is not competition to Xbox or PlayStation. And it's like, they did studies that when the Switch came out, playtime and sales for PlayStation and Xbox tanked for months because everybody was on the Switch.
The Switch already got out of the pool, and Microsoft and Sony are still playing water polo and fighting each other.
Well, that's the thing, too. If the Switch becomes the best-selling system of all time, they can't ignore it anymore.
Well, I didn't include it in here, but there's also really good news that Nintendo themselves may not be ignoring it, because they've started talking about how their next system will integrate their Nintendo accounts, because they want to make it as convenient as possible for people to move over to the new hardware.
Yeah,
that's good to hear.
Because the other podcast, when Chris announced he bought a Wii U, he was early to the game. And he went through that nightmare of profiles because he originally put his profile on my Wii U.
Oh no!
And they're like, no, once it's on a system, you can't take it off unless you delete every profile for good.
Yeah, they were not good about that. I did like the fact they used Pikmin to move between the Wii U and stuff, or from the Wii to the Wii U and then the 3DSs. I kind of wish, I hope that stays. Like, if I have to do a transfer from a Switch to a new Switch, better be freaking Pikmin.
Give us a new jam for when we're browsing the eShop, please.
Yeah, I am 100% for that. I miss that music.
That and themes, and we'll be set. I don't need folders. Folders is overrated.
Nothing.
At least give me other colors.
The Wii Shop jingle.
Agreed. That is, I still go back and listen to that. I mean, it made it into Smash Brothers as a freaking playable song.
It's a TikTok dance.
It's a TikTok dance.
Oh, it is? Yeah. I don't really mess with TikTok that much, so I don't know. That's hilarious.
It's gotten to the part where, what do you call it? High school orchestras, they surprise their teacher by playing the song from like Wii Sports and such. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like Wii Sports or just regular Wii Shop channel. I was like, all right.
I'm okay with it. That's really fun. So the other thing is there was a bit of a leak that says it from a developer. I have not looked into anything if it's confirmed or not, but I guess the development portal for people that work on Nintendo stuff, was that verified as being fake? I see you shaking your head there.
Yeah. Okay. About 2 or 3 comments in that the guy who posted that is a nefarious prankster, and
that's what I figured.
He has never had anything confirmed. So they're not going to call it the NX2.
I could see them calling it for development stuff and sometimes doing that, but they're far enough along. This system is probably already named. They already know their marketing strategy for it. I still think this thing needs to be announced early next year.
Yeah, the newest rumor we have now is Mercury Stream has a dev kit.
Well, that should just be a truth. That's great. I like Mercury Stream's games. All right, so next up is a bit of more sad news for people in game development. Niantic, the makers of Pokemon Go, have announced that they're shutting down their Los Angeles office and laying off about 230 employees. So this one, they're also closing down their NBA All-World title, as well as canceling the upcoming Marvel World of Heroes project they were working on. According to Niantic CEO John Hank, in an email sent out to employees, they're wanting to narrow the company's focus for mobile game investments. The general idea is that they saw a large influx of money during COVID, which led to growth in hiring, but they're now back to pre-COVID finances, so they're having to lay off a bunch of those people. Like, they just couldn't keep it up. Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom, Peridot, and Monster Hunter Now are still moving forward. So
what about Ingress?
I didn't see any mention of that. They've kind of written that one off. That's
their OG.
It is their OG.
Are they still running it, or they shut that down for Pokemon Go?
As far as I know, because there's even an anime based on it.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. Is that they were kind of using all that as the framework for all their Go games, and Pokemon Go just borrowed all the areas that whenever you saw a gym, it was also a base in Ingress, because my wife would play that.
Well, that's what they explained why so many churches were Pokestops.
But my take on this whole thing is when they started basically, I don't know, making cosmetic DLC and trying to release them as full games, saying now we have Marvel, now we have NBA. Harry Potter Go was a disaster.
It was fun.
Like, can't say anything.
It was fun.
It's like, oh, you're going to battle a wizard and you're just going to hold your thing there until the bubble gets big enough. I was like, I hate this. I hate everything about it. You're not strong enough to fight this wizard because you can't get the bubble bigger than... I'm like, forget it.
Rachel's like, I want to say something so bad. Oh, she's got that face of wanting to say some shit. After the show, Rachel?
Maybe. Maybe.
Pikmin Bloom,
Steven, you're in for it.
Pikmin Bloom was at least just like a step counter, so it was kind of different from Pokemon Go, where you didn't have to catch anything. You just had to give orders out and walk around a lot.
I had more fun with Pikmin Go because I would fly across the country, send these Pikmin out to get stuff, and then fly back home across the country, and it'd be like, this Pikmin will be back in 2 weeks. I was like, holy shit.
Your Pikmin have died from.
He's got a long way to walk.
And they would do it.
Man, now I want to play it.
Yeah, they would carry stuff back like 2 weeks later. I'm like, wow.
But then when like Dragon Quest is like, we're doing a thing like that, and you have Monster Hunter, I was like, all right.
Wait, Dragon Quest is doing something like that?
Dragon Quest in Japan have a Dragon Quest Go where you can walk around and catch all the monsters. And I was like, come on, stop. I was just like, there's going to be more Go games than there is social media apps. This is horrible.
I don't know. They're fighting over that one right now. We're going
to... It's the yawn counter time, guys. It started.
It's 1. You've been doing pretty good this time.
Yeah.
You're fresh and rejuvenated after moving over.
So we did a drinking game for the extra quarters.
If people actually stuck to that drinking game, they'd be freaking dead.
Every time Jeremy said Call of Duty.
Yeah, during a Microsoft no.
That reminds me of the time where a friend of mine and I turned in we were playing Xenoblade and we turned into every time someone said the Monado. We would have to take a drink. We were very asleep.
I don't doubt it.
It's the Monado. God damn it.
we passed out on the couch.
I'm really feeling it.
We're really feeling it. That's literally we were trying to play it. We would keep saying that. And then we both passed out and just
That's fantastic.
You're welcome for me giving you an idea.
Look, they make.
Oh, I'm not doing that. I'd kill
I was just
somebody.
checking as a joke. They make Monado wine. That would be amazing. Drink Monado when they say Monado.
That better not count for outside too. It's like, would you like a Monado? Fuck.
Give me the bottle.
Do I have to technically take 2 drinks? I don't know. Like you said, Monado. Oh man. So yeah, we'll have to see where Niantic's going. Like that Pokemon Go money is still coming in, but apparently not enough for them to expand out more. Monster Hunter now, I'm curious about. I signed up trying to be in the test for it, just out of pure morbid curiosity of like, what are they doing with this? But I haven't got into it yet, so we'll have to see.
Same.
I'm just wondering I'm just speaking of apps and gaming and related stuff. What the heck happened with that Kingdom Hearts app that there was supposed to be a beta for last fall and nothing happened?
I'm sure that beta has probably been canceled, but is still somehow canon and a major part of the story for another game. Or
you know what they say, when you walk away.
When you walk away.
You'll hear them say, no, we're not making it.
Oh, God. Oh, man. All right. So this next story is actually a bit of news that I wanted to bring up because I've tried for a longest time and I keep meaning to get back into doing this. I was doing what I call moving forward recordings where I would try and preserve the openings of different games where it goes through the demo period or, showing stuff off on a lot of older games and recording that, putting it online. And I also go back and I was digitizing VHS tapes and, demo discs and so forth, the content. Well, there's a company or a group called NoClip who are absolutely fantastic at their gaming documentaries they do over the years. I highly recommend watching their stuff. Because some of these guys I've been following since like the 1UP days when I really got into watching their retrospectives and things that they put together. And then they went and formed this company. They got a hold of a cache of different video media for a span of a decade, covering things that people have not seen since then, getting so old, the tapes and things are starting to deteriorate. So they're making a push to digitize and preserve all of this they can. They have a fund set up where if you want to donate money to them to help out with this cause, getting the equipment they need to do this, they're having to get like old broadcast equipment and everything to make it as good as possible. But they're still releasing every single piece of it for free on a YouTube channel they made just for this. That is over on at NoClip Archive. Look that up on YouTube. I highly recommend saving it, because ever since I've done that, like every day they've been putting out new videos. But they've already done stuff where they did the highest quality versions I've ever seen of the entire Nintendo Space World 2000 GameCube tech demo, like full breakdown of it, going through the Mario 128, showing all the videos and stuff. The Xbox 2009 E3 presentation in full 1080, which is great because that's when they had the Kinect and the guy's like, you ever see the bottom of a, whatever guy's, an Avatar shoe, bang, and it like all twists and distorts like it's been, killed in a gravity well. Right. They had pre-release demonstrations and pre-announcement demonstrations and talks about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, where the game hadn't even been officially announced yet, but they had made this presentation to show off at an E3. They've put up old commercials that they found. Like they found a Banjo-Tooie commercial that not only had the entire commercial in the highest quality, but it also included an entire how they made it that was attached to it that I guess was on the original videotape. News segments. They had some like news companies that had played like the Quake 3 or not Quake 3. Was it one of the Quake 4 games? There was like an open beta for it. They had played a bunch of it. So it's the footage. Like they don't know what all is in here. There's so much stuff. So highly, highly recommend.
I hope they lend it to the Video Game History Museum though to make backups too.
Well, they're digitizing all of this, and I think they're working with some of those groups. They're putting up the completely unedited or untouched raw footage, as they say, on archive.org. So that's going to be open. Yeah, they're doing everything above board.
The internet's not going anywhere, but the YouTube might one day. You never know.
Right. But I like the fact that they're releasing that stuff on there. So once again, at NoClip Archive, look up that YouTube channel. Definitely. I just sat there for a while watching just a few videos they had up there going like, man, this is great.
That's really cool.
They put up one, I would have had more notes done, but I stopped and watched this. They had somebody in, I think like the early 2000s, was during the GameCube period. Nintendo has a employees only museum, and somebody had walked through it with a VHS camera, looking at all this stuff and checking things out. I guess they were giving them a private looking, and they got that tape and it's digitized and up there. So you get to see this whole little internal Nintendo museum. And that was just a video they put up, no fanfare, but boop, there it is. So this is a treasure trove for preservation that I'm 100% for.
It's nice to see things like that.
Right.
It reminds me that Nintendo New York just had to take down the their what was it, the Gulf War,
Desert Storm
Storm Game Boy, because they had left it on for the last 30 years, so it finally needed to retire.
Amanda got to see that and I never did. I didn't get to go to Nintendo World. They weren't open the one and only time I've ever been to New York late last year, and I was like, damn it. I would have loved to have seen that.
I worked there. I had to clean around that. That was scary. I had to clean around that.
Yeah, you don't want to be the one thing that destroys it when a bomb couldn't do it.
I was like, the ABS is cool and all, but I was just like, I don't want to like bump into it and a chunk falls off. I was like, oof.
And to your left is the guy that did this.
You're back up and pinned to a wall.
There's his ashes.
See, we applied the same bomb that hit this Game Boy to this person, and this is what was left. The Game Boy survived.
We were playing with power and aggression.
Oh, man. So, and I had somebody make a joke. It's like, well, I guess you don't have to, do your recording stuff because they're doing this. And I'm like, I'm perfectly fine with that. Like, I'm still going to record some of the stuff I find because I still want to do that. But what my original intent is preservation of these things. And if this is a library of stuff that I would never be able to get my hands on. Even if I did, I don't have the equipment needed. There was like 9 or 10 different video formats. They were going down the list of what they seen. And I was like, I think I can play maybe 3 of them.
I could probably even help you at some point just because I have every time any of those journalists sold their DVD, like E3 this, E3 that, I bought them every year. So I have like the Planet GameCube one from back in the day. And I have all the ones that IGN or it was either IGN or 1UP, but one of them put out a video every year of E3 showing off their stuff. and I was like, I always bought them because one, I was there for at least 6 of them, so I was like, I want to see if I see myself.
Well, I have the DVD set for the E3 that they first showed off the DS. They announced the Revolution. They showed like Half-Life 2, Metroid Prime 2, Halo 2, a lot of sequels that year. But it's a different DVD for each system and one for PC and general stuff. I'd love to figure out
the first, and I would like to say only time we got into the Nintendo presentation when they did in-person ones. Like Chris and I got into there. Lo and behold, that's when they were going to show Twilight Princess, and they handed out to everybody who was sitting there. Thank God they handed me one of those little DS cartridges that only has the Twilight Princess trailer on it.
Oh, you have that?
Yeah, and I was just like, "Oh my God,
dude,
it's my Holy Grail!"
Lucky.
Wait, you have that?
God, I wanted to get a hold of one of those just to see it. That's great.
Where was that, Chris? Did I put it? I must have gotten one.
If somebody wants to get rid of one, I'm not saying for sure, but
Chris is over here having an existential crisis because he doesn't know where he put the DS cartridge.
Chris is like, oh my God, I've lost a child.
If he got one, then I must have one too.
I know where it is. It's right next to my copy of Popful Mail that you borrowed.
I got you a new one, all right?
Oh, these two are great. Oh, man. I love this show. All right. Well, our last bit of news is, we're going to dive back into who all remembers Yuji Naka.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, good old Yuji Naka.
Ivy the Kiwi.
So, he has been given a 4-year suspended sentence. He'll be on probation during this time, but he just has to stay out of trouble. So he may not actually have to spend any time in prison because he was originally supposed to get 2.5 years in prison and then a 4-year probationary period. But apparently they've been swapped out. This was from his arrest in early 2022 for insider trading at Square Enix, where he was using information for upcoming games and for collaborations to buy up stock for profit. And yeah.
He still got a hefty fine too, though.
He got I think it was like a $1.2 million fine, but he still made more money than that. So it's like a slap on the wrist and probation. Like, he's not apparently going to be seeing any jail time for this.
Well, he's a personality and that kind of thing, you know. How would that look for Sega? How would that look for the industry?
Sega got rid of him already. They don't care.
Well, okay. How would that look for Square Enix? How would that look for Arzest? You know, how are we going to get Balan 2 if he's in jail?
Who's going to be the first YouTuber to get the inside interview with?
Yeah, with as obsessed with Square is with like NFTs and so forth, I don't think Square cares what they look like half the time now.
They're, talking about
like shit.
Talking about that though, there was some good news that slipped in the other day where the Sega COO said that they are no longer interested in doing any blockchain games because, as they put it, the fans do not want that and they are boring.
Sega does what Square don't. Get rid of NFTs.
I don't think, there's still hope. I mean, they did real good with 16, so
yeah.
They did real good.
What did they call it again, Chris? What is it? Crypto Winter or NFT Winter? Or
the Crypto Winter. Yes, that is apparently what they're calling it right now. I'd rather they just call it the Crypto Graveyard, but we're not there yet.
We're working on it. Oh, man. So that's pretty much the news for this week. So we'll go ahead and move on to the big question to round out our episode. So this week, I wanted us to talk about, this is a question I think one of you guys put into the notes, and I just kind of pulled it out of there. What are a few games that changed your life and have a special place in your heart? I actually have 2 really good answers for this, but I will let you guys go first. Steven, since you look like you're smiling and Chris, I can't tell, we'll let you go first, Steven.
I could hear him smile. Well, I have 3, but I have them with me in case people don't know what they look like.
Well, they still won't if the video doesn't work. I'm very bitter with Zencaster right now.
And fair warning to everybody listening to this. There's going to be some hot takes with these 3 titles. Okay.
Here's this extra copy of Popful Mail that I got.
First, we have the Magic of Scheherazade for NES.
Which one is this?
Magic of Scheherazade.
Oh, wow.
So, this one played kind of
one.
like a Final Fantasy meets Chrono Trigger, because you had to go through different future and time periods and such to even recruit certain party members. And it reminds me of a lesser known movie that some people love, some people have never heard of, called The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen.
Oh my god, I love that movie.
Are you kidding me? Nice. That movie is fantastic.
So this one was great because like one party member would be a genie in a bottle, another one would be one of those I forget what they call the creatures that have like the 6 arms and they're blue. They have a sword in each hand. But you'd have a creature like that to be on your side. You'd fight creatures like that as well.
It just made me think of Kali, so I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking. Shiva, actually.
Yeah, Shiva,
yeah.
So because of this game, I didn't like the original Legend of Zelda, and I didn't get the appeal of Chrono Trigger because I'm like, I liked how this one did time travel already, and I enjoyed how this one did their overworld. So I was already hooked on this.
Steven going, I've already played this game, but the better version.
Damn.
I liked action RPGs before they were
cool.
I can hear him pushing his glasses up while he did that. Actually.
Have me glow when I push him up. My next one is Mendel Palace from Hudson Soft.
I've never heard of that.
Never heard of that.
This is one of the first games that Game Freak came out of. This is Game Freak in their infancy. And it's not evident on the front here, but all the art in the game was done by a little-known artist called Ken Sugimori, also known as the Pokemon artist that everybody knows as the Pokemon artist.
Yeah.
So that one showed me for the first time that you could beat a level differently. Like there was more than one way to be, finish like a certain level. So then I would go into other games saying, do I have to do it exactly how it's shown, or is there other ways? Like, can I let the enemies kill themselves? Is there friendly fire? It wasn't always like you have to do it. So those are the lesser known ones. My last one is really easy. It speaks for itself. This is a repro, so don't get too excited. The actual one is sitting in what is one of those like resin coffins, so I can't open it.
Oh, wait, you can use the light gun with that?
Yeah, you can use the Justifier.
You mean this?
Yeah.
I literally happen to have a Justifier sitting there for no weird reason. Playing light gun games earlier.
So this is the good storytelling that Kojima did. Then he got caught up in something and made some other kind of franchise, which isn't as good as this, but we'll always harken back to the OG. I will always
robot reference to it later.
I go back to this game every year because there's a date referenced in the intro of when everything started, which is June 6th. So every June 6th, I will play this game in its entirety over and over again. If I ever stream, I will be streaming it every year. If I ever stream.
I still wish that would come to the Switch. Like so many of those FMV games have been brought over to the Switch. I think it would fit so well.
They tried to make that for the Dreamcast, but eventually they stopped. They got either stuck or they got bored. But a team of like fans were trying to make it for Dreamcast, and it looked so good.
So many good games on Dreamcast.
But they recently announced that. Speaking of Sega CD, though, they recently announced that some of those FMV games are coming to Switch. So we are getting, at least in Japan, we're getting Time Gal and Revenge of the Ninja.
Yeah, there's 3 of them that are on there. It's the Laserdisc collection. They're all originally arcade Laserdisc games. I'm hoping that they'll make an American release, but they may also be at least adding English subtitles. So
either way, I'll buy it even if I don't understand what I'm doing.
Fair enough.
I remember all the inputs from Time Gal, so that's good enough.
So, yes, we know what Baron Munchausen was. That was absolutely great. Also aware of Time Bandits. That's another good one.
I have both on DVD.
Lucky. I'm trying to get a good copy of those.
I have Munchausen on Blu-ray. I'm so happy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I randomly found both at Walmart like several years ago, in their $5 bin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got a copy of something somewhere with it, but
I love Baron von Munchausen. I will talk about this later.
Because we'll go off about it.
I'll tell you my history with the film, but later.
But yes, Stephen, we're not the common folk. We know of these films. All right, Chris, we will let you go next and make sure you actually show your work.
Yes, I'll hold them right in front of the camera.
There you go.
In any case. There are 2 games that I can think of off the top of my head that I will play at any time. One of them is Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge, the second in the Darkstalker series. That series is the game that really taught me that video games can look like cartoons. The CPS2 engine was really put through its paces, and even in terms of creating the characters, the developers looked through Disney animation to actually do the whole squash and stretch and frame rate thing to make them look as cartoony as possible. It was such a step up from Street Fighter 2 that it just not only that, but the backgrounds were inspired by classic Disney as well. So I consider it one of the more beautiful Capcom games in general, and I will always go back to it when I want to be inspired by animation. And on that same note, one of my favorite animation-based games is Braindead 13. A little-known spiritual sequel to games like Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, where a computer programmer has to fix a computer in a haunted house and be chased by a psychotic little imp that has every single weapon available that attaches to his hook hand. And essentially, if you like goofy failures, like in Dragon's Lair or Space Ace,
violent deaths,
but cartoon violent, like say if you get something wrong in the Jack the Ripper ghost area, he will take his knife and slice off the front of your face. The guy's face will fall over, and you'll see basically a cut of beef where the rest of the thing would be. So yes, it's very fun, almost Mortal Kombat-esque, goofy, choose your own adventure. And I consider it one of the last great FMV animation games.
Just think Happy Tree Friends.
Something like that.
I looked it up to see what it was on because I was like, I've never heard of this one, but it was originally on PlayStation, but it was also released here on Saturn
and 3DO. 3DO is the best version so far.
Well, it says MS-DOS, PlayStation, Saturn, CDI, and iOS.
Yeah, it was on the iPhone for a short period.
Okay, never mind. 3DO multiplayer, yeah. Okay,
there it is.
I was looking. There's more of a list. Sorry.
So yes, those 2 are the games that I will always come back to.
Okay. I may have to hunt that one down on PlayStation. It seems interesting. All right, Rachel, what you got?
So I have 2 games. They are probably games that y'all have heard of. But there's some of the games that you guys mentioned that I was like, I have no idea what this is. But of course, first one, which Jeremy already knows one of my answers to this, because I watched this game be developed like from its infancy, from when they put in the patent for the battle system. And when it was still called something else, when it was still Versus 13, but it's Final Fantasy 15. 12 years of my life, essentially, and when it was already out, so a very long time. That game was, it was my everything. It was the thing that I was looking forward to, the thing I kept track of. And I got, the collector's edition, all that kind of stuff. I played the whole thing from top to bottom. I did all the DLC. I still play it to this day. And I have fun doing every moment of it. It became such a big part of my life. I cosplayed a character from it. And it
very well, I have to say. You did really good with that.
And it made my Instagram take off to what it is now. Am I still stuck at 1,272 followers? And I have been for like 5 years. Yeah.
Stuck at.
But it but that was all because of Cindy. I met a lot of people because of that game. I made a lot of friends because of that game. And I just, a lot of people think it's bad because it was unfinished, but
I liked what I played of it.
It defined Final Fantasy as we know it now. The 7 remake would not exist in its current form if it was not for this game. And also 16 probably wouldn't be as successful as it is now, and using the battle system that it is now, were it not for this game, because they learned from 15. So 15 has shaped the Final Fantasy franchise, and people don't really talk about that, and it makes me sad because it's very, very special to me. Anytime the game comes up in media or anything, my friends will be like, "Hey, Rachel, look, it's your baby," and I'm like, "There it is! So proud, proud mom." And then, of course, the other game that, and it's not really a game, more like a game series, that I still play to this day, that I started playing when I was very small, and you guys are not even going to be able to guess what I am going to say, but it's the Nancy Drew series on the PC by Her Interactive. Have you guys ever heard of those?
Yeah.
I know of Nancy Drew, but not of the particular series of games.
They made both Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys ones, too.
So they only did 2 Hardy Boys, and it wasn't done by Her Interactive, and it was nowhere near as good. And those ones are also impossible to find now, even like as like a the P word version on the interwebs. Can't even find like any kind of like that. Nancy Drew, there's tons of them. There's like over 30 games. The last one is not my favorite because they've kind of kind of redone it, and they're using a new engine. The voice actress is different. But I played it since I played all the games religiously from 2000s, but the first game came out in 1998. I did not play it at launch, but I was introduced. It was introduced to me by my friend Cassie, who is my best friend in elementary, middle school, and high school. And all throughout, every time a game would come out, we would get it and we would play it. Either I would buy it or she would buy it, and we'd play the game with each other at each other's houses. And it was fun. It had like puzzle solving and a mystery. The lady who voice acts for Nancy Drew up until the 2015 game is Lonnie Manella, who you might know as Rouge the Bat or Luke from the Layton series. So so she's a well-known lady, and she's just they're just fun. They have comedy, they have puzzles, they have critical thinking. It was all about teaching. It was a game for girls, but also there's tons of dudes out there that would play the game too. But like it just,
if it's fun, it's fun.
It really was a defining game of my childhood, and I still have most of my games on shelving right back over there, just out of frame.
Did you ever play the Wii versions or the Wii ones?
So they're not quite the same. I did play 2 of the DS ones. The one that was on the Wii, which is the White Wolf of Icicle Creek, it's almost the exact same game that's on the PC. But if you want something fun and simple, but also not necessarily simple, like because some of the puzzles are hard because you can do. Because you can do junior detective or senior detective. And even at junior detective, the puzzles are still hard. And there's tons of mini games. They're fun. And
what I find these fun is knowing how much I love the Layton games, that kind of mystery and puzzles. Or is this a different type of mystery game?
Kind of the same vein. But there's a lot of interrogation where you're choosing dialogue of what to say, and there's also kind of some hidden comedy with inside jokes from previous games and stuff like that. But it's fun. It's definitely some of the games you're gonna see that it shows its age, but I mean, I'd give it a shot. Most of them are on Steam now, except the Ransom of the Seven Ships, which I will explain to you why that's not on there when we're not
I wonder if this would be
recording.
a series, like if I played with Jennifer, if she would like them.
She would love it.
Because I could control and help do stuff and let her make the choices. And
yeah, she might get a little frustrated with some of the puzzles.
if she does, I can help her.
But I think she'd really like them. And if you guys end up streaming it, I can always, help too and be around.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, because I mean, I played all of them. So, but
I may have to get some suggestions on those from you later.
For sure, absolutely. But like I said,
great.
defining game of my childhood that even now, like with this next game coming out, which I don't know, I didn't play the most recent one. I messaged my friend Cassie and I was like, "Did you see that they're doing another Nancy Drew game?" And she's like, "After that Salem one." we're still mad that they replaced Lonnie as a voice actress for Nancy, so a little bitter, but we'll see how this next one goes.
So do you like the just detective type games in general, or just Nancy Drew?
So I do like detective games in general. However, I love the Nancy Drew game format of how they handle the puzzles and the mystery and all that I've tried other stuff. And there's some other games out there that are almost like dupes to Nancy Drew. Like there's a series called Miss Clue, which is literally almost the same as Nancy Drew, but think like B-movie version. But like I've played some other stuff. Like I do have all the I have most, if not all, of the Sherlock games. I have all the Black Mirror games, the Blackwell series.
Yeah, because I wonder, because there's some that come to mind because I'm old school. Was the Laraboe series, like the Colonel's Bequest, and the Dagger of Amon-Ra?
I have not heard of that.
Those ones you actually
even digging deep.
That one, you're such a female detective. You take notes while you're going through rooms looking at things. It's an old school Sierra point and click where you had to type in what you want to do.
Oh, okay.
And then there was a newer one that came out that I met the creator. It was called Gray Matter from Jane Jensen, the creator of Gabriel Knight.
Oh, okay. So I did play most of the first Gabriel Knight game. And I do like that. And I also, I like Leighton, I like Tangled Tower and Detective Grimoire. So I'm big into point and click stuff. I don't some of the like tablet ones, like I'm trying to think how to describe it.
So some of them tend to, at least when I've tried some of them, they tend to just be what do you call those? Like find the object.
Almost like hidden pixel games.
Right. And some of them like
hidden object.
Yeah, some of the hidden object games aren't bad. Like the Lost Grimoire series was good. But it just all depends on how the story goes. Like there's this there's this one series that follows all kinds of Grimm's fairy tales and fables, and it's done by this Polish company that a friend of mine introduced me to. And she is like the biggest fan of this game series, so much so that the developer has made her like an unofficial like brand ambassador. Like I'm pretty sure they send her a free copy of the game every time a new one comes out.
Oh, wow.
But like I like the Myst games. I'm just big into point and click, as long as they're not, how do I say this kindly? You can't, as long as they're not stupid.
Yeah, I think the Dagger of Amon-Ra, some of the puzzles can get a little obtuse. But if you want a game that definitely turns the difficulty on its head, it's the Laraboe series. It's just two of them right now.
Right.
Especially the first one is just like unbearingly hard because you have to take notes to remember things.
Right.
And you can die. You can do things wrong. You can get caught by the murderer who happens to walk in.
Oh, no.
All these things can happen. And Gray Matter, I didn't play through completely, so I don't know if it's as difficult as Laraboe, but when I finally beat the Colonel's Bequest, I had almost my own, like, I don't know, notebook.
Oh.
See, the series I was into as a kid never got games, or at least not when I was a kid. That was Encyclopedia Brown.
Like,
were there just like 2 or 3 of those?
That's
I
what my
also-
grandparents had in their library when I would stay for the summer. I had a whole collection of those books and would read those.
This is also coming from the person who played Pajama Sam and Freddy Fish and Putt Putt as a child.
Nothing wrong with that.
Raised on Big Humongous, okay?
Yeah,
he's gotten up to grab something.
I was playing Carmen Sandiego.
Oh,
and
I played Carmen
Oregon
Sandiego.
Trail back
I played
when they were
Oregon
new.
Trail. I played Magic Mountain, the weird math game. Oh.
I didn't get that because I was like, my kids are all old enough; they're not going to care.
I have all the Wii versions separately, but then they made this one, and I was like, I have to.
Yeah,
It doesn't have Fatty Bear on it, but whatever.
That's okay.
Funny. All right, so I looked at this question, I guess, a little. I looked at it literally. I have one game that literally changed my life, and one that has a special place in my heart. So we'll start with the one from the heart. That would be King Arthur's World on the Super Nintendo. I don't know how familiar you guys are with this one.
A mouse game.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until decades later. I played it with a controller, the entire game. Now I'm like, I have a mouse. It just feels weird. I actually streamed this. This was the most recent thing I streamed as a favor for our friend Joey over in his group, Cerulean Skies, talking about it, playing through the first couple levels. This was one of my very first strategy games I ever got. And it was given to me by my aunt, who is my mom's twin. They're not identical, but I always loved spending time with her, my aunt Dee Dee, Aunt Diane. And they did not have much money. So this was a game that she had gotten from a thrift store. I think, still had all the stickers and stuff on it from rentals and so forth. And to this day, they will always have that. It is the only game I will not clean or modify. I will not buy a new one to replace it. That is my copy, and that is what I play, because I spent my time that summer hanging out with her, figuring that out, learning how to play that and learning the strategies and doing stuff. And after we lost her early 2000s, it's kind of just always been something I always go back to and play, even just by myself. Is a game I love exploring, but also just a way of connecting back with her. Now, as for a game that changed my life, I'd have to go, and you guys are going to laugh and I'll explain this. Donkey Kong 64. I can see Chris even going, huh?
I didn't say anything.
Explain that one.
I could tell. Say what?
So explain that one.
So we all remember Donkey Kong 64, the Rareware find everything game. And it's not really so much the game itself that's important. It's how it was bought that meant the most. My wife, Amanda, when we were dating, she was wanting to, learn all this stuff about me. And we met and we're married in 6 months. Like we've been together for 23 years now.
Wow.
And I asked her to marry me in front of my dad's house in the rain after we watched Toy Story 2 with an old ring that my mom had given me that turned her finger green. We still have it. She can't wear it because it'll turn her finger green. It's hilarious. But I decided to do that because she had done something no one else I'd ever dated or been with had done. She never played games at all. And she went and bought the Atomic Green Nintendo 64 and Donkey Kong 64 for herself because she wanted to learn video games so she could be involved in something that I love. She didn't try and stop me from playing games, saying it was a kid's thing or anything. She did that to become part of my world and enjoy it. And from that moment, I was like, she is the one. And I was not wrong. So Donkey Kong 64 literally set the rest of my life. So yeah, I still have that exact N64 and that copy of Donkey Kong in my room right now, hooked up to a CRT. I will not modify it. I will not change anything about it. It is exactly as it was the day we got it. So, yes. Those are the games that changed my life and meant the most to me.
Nice.
Yeah, she's going to love that story.
She always blushes
every time I
tell her about it. Yours was the most heartfelt, and mine dealt with death sequences.
I think I took the question literally. So
nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well, we've been a nice roundabout hour and 40 minutes on this episode, so I think it's about time we go ahead and wind down. So as usual, Chris will ask you first where we can find you on the internet, because your answer is always the shortest.
Right here.
Right here.
Right here, where I am right now. Good luck.
Sounds like a hunting challenge. Find me if you can. Good luck.
I am an ARG.
Steven, where can we find you on the internet?
You can still find me on the burning ship known as Twitter at loading_time. You can find me on Blue Sky. I got in the door before it closed.
You're welcome.
At N1 Nintendo. You will not find me on the other apps.
We'll beat him into it.
After Mastodon, I'm on Hive, but Hive's not populated, so we'll just leave it at that. Everybody's saying they're Spartacus right now, so I'll just wait and see who's left.
That's a good way to describe that.
Wow.
Rachel, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Outrageous, which is OUT_RACHEOUS. Yes, I'm still on Twitter, which is, dying a slow death. Instagram, I post on occasionally. I am most active on Threads now. But yeah, on any of those places, I might be posting that I'm streaming. And of course, you can find me on Twitch, which is also Outrageous, but there's no underscore. It's just OUTRACHEOUS, where I'm playing Final Fantasy 16 right now. But you know what? I might play the Nancy Drew games. I don't know. If Jen wants to get a taste of it before, maybe she starts to play it, let me know.
Yeah, might have to do that. I think she'd get a kick out of it. All right, I've been your host, Jeremy Powers. You can find me over on Twitter still at Zenspath. You cannot find the at Zenspath COM or at Zenspath Pod because Twitter is being dick about it and won't give it back to me. But you can find me over on Threads and over on Instagram at Zenspath COM. You can, if you're listening to the show, you can find the video version of this over at youtube.com/ZenspathCom. And if you're watching it, you can get the audio version, zenspath.libsyn.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast, except for Stitcher. Stitcher is shutting down, apparently. So that'll be episode 92 of the Zenspath 4-Button Podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Call of Duty Monado, drink!